Karen O'Shaughnessy is the Executive Director of the Lookout Emergency and Aid Society, which opened its first shelter on Vancouver Skid Row 40 years ago. She herself has been on the street and escaped the street. It is my pleasure to welcome Karen O'Shaughnessy to Studio 4 to tell us more. Nice to see you.
Thank you very, very much, Fanny.
How long have you been doing this?
Oh, well, it's over 40 years.
Over
43.
40 years.
Yeah, I was a kid when helping kids in a youth shelter, and then moved over to Lookout, which is actually one of those youth employment programs that the federal government initiated in the late 60s.
And before you were helping, you were running away.
Oh, yes.
Why? Take me back.
Well, pretty sad family life, lived in poverty, abusive father, so yeah, I escaped. And when I did that, I stayed with friends, I couch surfed, I did what you needed to do to be able to survive.
And what was surviving like then, as opposed to now?
Ooh, it's harder now than it was then. I mean, then you could hitchhike across the country, as I did numerous times, and but there was still a bit of a respect for women, and the violence was not as great. There is a lot of violence now, and but having said that, I mean, it was extremely tough, and I virtually know anybody who survived those times.
Did you go through times when people tried to lure you into sex trade, knowing that you were alone? And
oh, absolutely. You know, I had choices. I mean, I had many people giving me drugs. I had friends that actually saved me from addiction. I had people trying to get me into the sex trade. I had people who just wanted to take advantage of this
vulnerable young girl, 14.
Girl. Yeah, and I kept running, and I think the only thing that kept me, the only thing that made me survive that is I had at that point a fairly deep hatred of men, and so I couldn't get into the drugs. I needed to protect myself, or felt like I had to protect myself. And I wasn't prepared to rely on men. I wanted to look after myself, and I was quite angry.
Who supported you then? Did you have a sister, a best friend, a mother,
street people?
Someone? Street people.
It was other street people and a few friends that I developed along the way. Yeah, that was quite transient for a number of years. So. Yeah.
I have never lived on the street, but I've talked to people who have, and they suggest there is a sense of family, finally. If you flee an abusive alcoholic father or an abusive family, you find some solace. In spite of the horrible circumstances, having to live on the street, you find some solace and some friends.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember a period of time I couldn't eat. I couldn't get any food, and I didn't want to steal. And there was one point I was walking up and down the aisles in front of the cheese. I love cheese. To this day, I love cheese. And I was so hungry. I had been kicked out of a restaurant prior to that where I had ordered a pot of tea, but only the water. And then I'd used ketchup in it and made myself some soup. And in the restaurant, the waitress booted me out because I was one of those bums. And so there I was in front of the cheese bars and seeing all of this food, and I was so hungry. And I couldn't bring myself to steal. And of course, if I had, I probably would have stuck out like a sore thumb. But anyway, people who were on the street who were extremely hungry as well, they took me and they fed me. And they didn't ask for anything in return, nothing in return. They were so generous. And you know, through my life, through all of the time, over the 40 years now, working with people who are homeless, that generosity still amazes me, and yeah.
How we are all meant to be, really, to help our fellow man.
Yes.
We're not so good at that at times. So when Mayor Gregor Robertson says he will eliminate street homelessness, it is his pledge by 2015.
Yeah.
Not sure what date he gave, and many others have wanted to and attempted to. What are the hurdles?
Well, I mean, first of all, the resources, right? The getting the senior levels of government involved. BC has been outstanding in continuing a housing supply program like Quebec, but it's the only province that has. But our senior level of government does not have a housing supply program any longer, other than very 3-year cyclical grants. So I think he needs the resources. The city cannot do it on their own, and then people. You know, the population of the city has to be willing to accept people in their community who may not necessarily look exactly the same way they do.
And that is often a problem. As you know, I know it's controversial, this new housing, the Atira, is it Atira?
Yes.
Janice Abbott's project wants to house teenage girls in a downtown hotel, wasn't such a nice hotel, now refurbished, in the downtown east side to help teenage girls get off the street. It's controversial. Some people say you should not house young girls down there because they'll get picked up by pimps and lured away. How do you feel about it?
You know, you have to create the housing where people are, where they're feeling comfortable with, and after they make that transition, that's when you can start saying to them, well, there's an opportunity to move into housing in such and such an area,
right,
if the housing exists. But you have to be where they are, and you have to meet them where they're at the moment, and only then are they going to be willing to come in.
See,
off
it
the
makes
street.
sense to me. You could say, well, we'll put you on a bus to Shaughnessy.
They won't stay.
But they won't stay.
I didn't stay, so why would they stay?
I know. And not only that, some of the people and not to pick on Shaughnessy, but any neighborhood would say, so what's going on here? Who are these people? You know, the NIMBY problem.
Well, exactly. And yet, you know, what I keep trying to educate people about is the homeless is a diverse group of people. You know, they are people's sons and daughters and mothers and brothers and uncles. You know, the only commonality, really the only commonality is poverty. And the rest of it is, you know, yes, there's people who have mental health issues. Yes, there's people with addiction issues. Yes, there's people with chronic physical health issues. Increasingly, there's seniors who are homeless. It is, you know, a whole raft of different kinds of services and different answers that we need to provide for folks.
And different lives, because there are people homeless, you talk to them daily, who once had a great job, great life, great family, and lost it all.
Absolutely, but for the grace, you know? And providing people with the opportunity to get in off the street opens that doors a possibility to them again. I had a fellow, this is one Christmas, who came in and had been coming back for 5 years, he told me, and he said that he handed me a donation. He said, listen, that he had been one of the most incorrigible, ugly drunks in the downtown east side, and we kept on taking him in and putting him on our couch. And he said, you know, at one point, we got him into detox, we got him into services, and what happened is he went on, he sobered up, he cleaned up, he got a job, he got a family, he got remarried, he got a house, and making good dollars. Right. And he said, you know, he just had to come back, and if it hadn't been for Lookout, he would not have survived.
No, and I hear stories like that from Covenant House and other places, transition houses, all of that.
Any first touch agency. Yeah.
Yes, giving homeless a bed, not enough. Giving them love and some encouragement and a step up somehow.
Yeah, but it's also the pathway into reconnecting them to the services that they require and the housing. If you don't have, it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you don't deal with the housing and the food, the fact that they need all of these basics
Sure.
before they can start looking for a job, getting back into education, you know, any of those things. They need to have the basics first.
Even clothes, because you to go to a job interview,
Showers.
showers, underwear,
Absolutely,
socks.
everything. It's the absolute basics, you know, and they have to rebuild their confidence, right?
Sure.
Because they're powerless, they're pushed around, they don't have many rights, and they've lost their confidence, and so that's one of the things that we need to do.
What are the rules at Lookout, at the Emergency Aid Society?
It's extremely minimal barrier. You know, you come in and 24/7, the door is always open in our shelters. You tell us what we need, and we can tell you what we can help you with, and through forming that relationship, maybe we can get somewhere.
So anyone, any age, any ethnicity?
We deal with adults. Lookout deals with adults. The youth are referred to other resources like Covenant House that you mentioned earlier.
Right.
And women, if they're victims of violence, if there's a bed at a transition house, we will triage them, if you will, and get them into a different resource. But Lookout is a safety net. If you can't stay anywhere else, we're there to help.
What does a mother do who has children and does not have one dime, can't seem to work the system or get any money from the system, not work the system particularly, but if you're homeless and you have kids, what are your options?
There's now a number of resources available. So first thing they could do is phone 211, right? Our neighborhood. There's a number of resources, the E-Fry Society, there's St. James, but you know, we need to make it as easy as possible for people who are homeless or who are really challenged or are threatened with homelessness to be able to access the services. So 211 is what I'm suggesting these days.
Okay, and who counts the homeless? I know that sounds rude, but they always have the homeless count is, and we're up or we're down. Who does that? And how accurate is it? Okay,
so you're talking about the Regional Steering Committee on Homelessness, which is the group that has the plan, the regional plan, Three Ways to Home, and we do the count. And that table is a diverse table. It's made of government, business, nonprofits, housing providers, community services, faith community, and we are the oversight of doing the count. And we know that it's an imperfect way of counting people. I mean, it's a point in time. It's only for those people who you visually see on the street that day, which is a poor way of doing it. But it really is the only way that we have of being able to identify, at least at this point, it's the only way that we have to identify whether we're doing better and whether people are still out in the streets surviving.
Right. Is there a city in Canada or in the United States that has a stellar model for addressing homelessness? A New York, a Chicago, a Seattle?
You know, I would say to you that the Lower Mainland, Vancouver, used to be the stellar model at dealing with homelessness, with small resources placed in numerous communities. Yeah, there's many locations. London, England has some. Down in the United States, in California, there's some. Portland in the United States is probably the closest, similar to the Lower Mainland. And
what are they doing? Like, what can we learn? It's a continuum. It's prevention.
It's a continuum of housing. It's making sure that people have multiple entry points to it, that it is client-centered, that it is available to them in a number of different locations, not just all centralized in one place, and a number of outreach workers who are able to follow the person through the process and support them.
And as you suggest, a number of different locations. There are homeless people in every suburb and in every small town. They're everywhere. It's not just on the downtown east side. However, being on the downtown east side, it can be a bit more dangerous. I know there was a report the other day about addicts, young women addicts getting their heads shaved because they hadn't paid a drug debt, a very small drug debt, $40 drug debt, probably homeless.
And that's not new. It's unfortunately, it's not new. I mean, when I started 40 years ago, I was picking dead bodies out of garbage cans. It's you know, it is not pleasant, but people will do what they need to do to survive, and if that's what they feel they have to do, or if they've totally and completely given up, and unfortunately too many people have totally given up because they haven't been able to access the right services and support.
So on your wish list, Karen O'Shaughnessy, Lookout Shelter, what do you need? What does the shelter need? What do the homeless need that they are simply not getting?
We need more housing.
Housing.
We need
Beds.
homes for people with the appropriate support. Meaning that if a person has mental health issues, that the mental health team can come in and provide services on site for them. If they need home support, you know, housekeeping assistance, that they can come in. And then they need the opportunities for the next steps. What are those next steps? Better education, training, and some of the social enterprises. And that's what Lookout is trying to do now. That's our next steps.
And you're having a fundraiser, Hearts for the Homeless Gala, October 12th at Coast Hotel?
Coast Cole Harbour.
Cole Harbour.
And it's to raise money for the 129 units that we're hoping to open in February. We need to furnish it now.
Thank you.
Thank
Nice
you
to
very,
see
very much.
Karen
Thank you.
O'Shaughnessy. And coming up, we meet the creator of Sketch a Journal. It's not a diary, but it is a blank book you will want to fill up.